Chapter 35. So Moses ordered the several million of his people together and told them the rules. After that, he made it clear he was personally accepting gifts for the Lord. Gold, silver, and the usual. Like already mentioned back in chapter 25 onward. Build me a fucking tabernacle. So everyone brought their things till they had more than enough to build a tent of Lord Moses. Then the servants of the Lord that had once been the productive slave craftsmen of the pharaoh now worked for the Lord Moses. If they weren't happy to use their resources and talents to grant Moses his every desire, they could have a sword cut their skull in two. The Bible, or as we are only dealing with the books of Moses, the Torah, repeats itself repeatedly and indulges in tedious detail, perhaps to discourage future generations from reading it, even though it is law to read it every 7 years. Maybe it is tedious prattle about details. Maybe its tedious prattle about details is an attempt to make it look like a real report on an actual event. No one would think to make fiction so tedious. But I think that's probably overdone as well. I think probably what it was is that people just were not so good at writing back then. One of the things you have to do to be a good writer is, well, practice at it. And another thing is to read a lot of books, to get informed, to learn things, travel and talk to people. And these priests that wrote this thing, long after Moses was dead, if he ever existed, they led a sheltered life. They didn't get to travel too much. They didn't have. Their minds were small. They were small-minded, and this was the best they could do. We shouldn't criticize their attempt. I mean, they had different conditions. It was a hard life. They didn't have all the advantages we have today. Heck, we have advantages today we didn't have 50 years ago. And so this book can't be as good as what can be done now. We have to accept that. So we have to accept that it's going to be a little tedious. It's not going to have the plot like some writers can do. And it's just not going to have that intrigue. So you have to be patient with the Torah when you read it. You have to understand, okay, these people were trying to manipulate a meaning in a story. Maybe they weren't trying to make a religion. Maybe they were just trying to be silly. Maybe they were trying to warn us. Maybe they were trying to warn us what it was like then and there, so we would know. And we do know, because we still have it now. Although it's not quite as bad as then, but it's the same idea.